All right. So what you need to know about this is that basically there are a lot of ways, many ways that are no longer really relevant. But, unfortunately, as you know, millions upon billions of social security numbers, duplicate files from 3 major nations were stolen. This hack was massive. Hacker put it on the dark web. Hacker tried to sell it. Then another hacker hacked that hacker, put it on the dark web for free. I checked. Social Security, mine, my father's, they're on the dark web. So the bottom line is basically this. Now that the Social Security numbers have been hacked, what are the main ways that somebody potentially could see a hacking that would hurt them? Now, most Americans, and it's fair to say this, like if you would disagree with this, you would have a hard time doing it. Most Americans live in a false sense of freedom, a false sense of security, a false sense of safety. We do, because we think our military can't be beat. It could. Just take a couple militaries. We think our monthly Social Security check couldn't be delivered without there being something catastrophic occurring. No, it happens all the time. People get their Social Security checks stolen, redirected, sent to a new address all the time. Different bank account, all the time. Canceled, overpayment sent, it's incorrect, somebody hacked it, all the time. So there's this fake belief in the American mind. There's this like, I am going to be safe because America has me. The big giant eagle loves me, right? That's what happened. Real quick, BK Dan, thank you for the $2 donation. Thank you. Sweetie's doing very well. She's asleep. I think she kind of quasi passed out because it gave me like 4 medications I have to give her post-surgery from the cancer surgery. She's only 4 years old. 4 cancer nodules removed. Like, what the hell? And this is like 3 months after the TPLO surgery where they have to literally cut her leg in half, rotate it 5 degrees, and then basically reattach it with a bunch of, hardware. So it's been a tough year for Sweetie. It has not been a good year for Sweetie. She's the big brown chubby dog of mine that I just absolutely love and adore. So bottom line, also super thank you to Diane Fernandez. She was the first one in the chat. That's awesome. Very, very cool. All right. So here's basically the deal. Okay. Just to make things clear. I used to say hide your Social Security number. Now it's not so relevant because they've all been stolen for the most part. I mean, some haven't. Cool. But for the most part, the big chunks are out there. So here's the basic thing. Here are the ways that basically somebody could essentially steal your information and change your receipt of your Social Security number, or rather your Social Security check. And this is relevant. It's important because, in this video, we're going to answer. Most Americans believe that they can't get hurt, that their check will always be delivered, that there won't be a problem. A small percentage don't believe that because they've been screwed over, something happened, etc. It is going to become more relevant, more continuous, more opportunities of it occurring for Social Security recipients to lose their check because of being hacked. All right, what are ways that people can be hacked? There's phishing attacks, right? Phishing attacks, rather. There's malware. There's weak passwords, social engineering, which is a lot of what's going on right now, exploiting vulnerabilities. There's public Wi-Fi networks, data breaches, insider threats. There's unpatched software, software that's just existed forever that hasn't been patched or updated. Physical theft, okay? There's all these different kinds of ways that you can essentially have your Social Security benefits potentially stolen from you. Now, I want to say right up front, why is this a big problem? It's not a big problem because you lose one check and then you get it back. It is a big problem because by the time you get it back, you've usually gone through 3 to 4 months trying to fix this whole thing, and you have completely destroyed any financial setting you had with whoever was supposed to be receiving money from you previously. So that is why this is so huge. That is why this is so problematic. Diana Fernandez, thank you for the donation. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Okay, let's go through this real quick. All right. Phishing attacks. There's cyber criminals. They use emails, fake websites. They use messages to your text messages to get sensitive information from you. Now that a lot of that sensitive information is out there, they only need to go ahead and get a few things to hypervalidate or basically hack your phone for when a token is sent to your phone using information that they already have that's been stolen on the web. phishing attacks are very common because a lot of the retired or disabled are easy targets when it comes to basically getting them to give up certain information, getting them to click on something. They are not super educated in how basically a lot of this phishing, hyper, hacking technique actually works. It's pretty simple. I'll send you an email. The email will be about a club, right, that you like stuff from. So let's say you got a thing about Yorkies, right? You like Yorkie dogs, or you like basketball, or you like music specifically from that artist with an upcoming event. Okay, that will have a thing with a little button on that you'll click, and that'll take you to a website. You fill in some basic information because you want to be part of future news. You want to be part of the future updates. Boom, they've got you. Okay. So a lot of individuals that usually get hit with this, it usually comes in the way of basically phone calls. Somebody will call and claim that they're from the Social Security Administration. Somebody will call and claim that they're from a credit card company. Somebody will call and claim that they're from your bank. Somebody will call and say that they're from some item you own, like a car or maybe your mortgage company, whatever. It's some company that you have to interact with, right? No matter what you do, you still got to interact with them. And that's the trust factor. And right off the bat, they're going to make you feel usually like you've either won something or you're a deadbeat problem. Because then if they can get your brain thinking you're a deadbeat problem, you're going to be willing to give them information to fix you being a deadbeat problem. So that's one of the ways that you will usually get additional information out of Social Security recipients. Then there's malware. Malicious software such as viruses, worms, trojans, or ransomware can be installed on a computer or device. This can happen through infected email attachments, malicious downloads, or compromised websites. This feeds into the whole you had a reason to click on it theory. A lot of you think you're geniuses when it comes to the internet, and a lot of you then realize 5 seconds later that you're not. But the bottom line is we are all weak. We are all weak when it comes to stuff that we enjoy. Hobbies, right? One of my things is music. I've always loved music. Always loved music. Been a big thing about music. Diana Fernandez, thank you for the dollar donation. That's awesome. Let me put a little heart on there. Very, very cool. That's awesome. Very nice. So basically, here's the thing, okay? When it comes to basically, essentially malware stuff, they're going to figure out something about you. So somewhere on some website, your name will be attached to some hobby that you like. And then they're going to create basically a website, a company, or whatever that directly attaches to that thing that you like. So just automatically be aware as a Social Security recipient who wants to keep their check coming every single month. Don't click on anything that potentially is new from a new group that you don't know that is related to a hobby that you like. Because if it looks like it's tailored for you, tailored for something you just bought, tailored for a group that you just joined, tailored for an event you just went to, it's more than likely going to be a phishing attack situation if you don't know the group that it's coming from. So just be aware of that. Miss Roby Hall, let's see, Kamala, very, very cool. Thank you for the $1.99 donation. Love it. Love the little picture there too. That's very awesome. Very, very cool. So, fell for it yesterday. Yeah. And that's the thing is like when you fall for it, the thing you've got to do is immediately reach out to OIG. Who is OIG? The SSA's Office of Inspector General. Go onto Google, type in SSA, Office of Inspector General fraud, and then file a report with them. Super important. You got to go do it. You got to do it. Also, happy Labor Day to Sandy there. Happy Labor Day. That's awesome. Now, another way is weak passwords. We all are stupid about passwords. No matter what you do, look, we've all done it. We've all done it. Our dog's name, our cat's name, our street's name, our parents' name, or this name, our kid's name, our kid's school, or whatever. We've all done that. We all know it's wrong, but we're sinners when it comes to weak passwords. There's no way around it. It's just, it is what it is. Somebody out there will be like, I'm not a sinner. Yeah. Line up on the wall. I'm going to get a stone. Okay. Just hang out there. So the bottom line is weak passwords. We've all done that. We all do that. Okay. All right. So easily guessable passwords, passwords where the website has unlimited attempts and you can just have a computer that just constantly pings it until it gets through. Then there's social engineering. Okay. Now, remember, weak passwords, this isn't just for the Social Security, like my Social Security website. It's any place that you use consistent, similar passwords. So if you use a similar password with your bank account, as your Social Security account, as your, club card membership account, whatever, if you do that, you are setting yourself up for a class A getting hacked situation. And you know it ahead of time. Like when it happens, you can't be like, oh, I can't believe my password of my dog got hacked. You knew it was going to happen. So there's no surprise there. And of course, if they get that, they can go into the Social Security Administration sometimes, and they can start to change things, delivery addresses, this, that, etc. Remember, the whole point of this video is how is a hacker going to change something so that you don't get your check, they get your check. Okay. Social engineering, that's another one. I'm going to read the thing. This involves manipulating individuals into divulging confidential information. For example, a hacker might impersonate a trusted figure or authority to gain access to sensitive data. Let me explain how this happens. They will pretend like they are from your kid's school, a coach, a this, a that. They will pretend as if they're from your bank, a manager, talking about an account. They saw something go through. They wanted to check. What's your most recent expenditure? Yeah, that's what we have. All right, we're going to log into the account. Blah, 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 blah. The main thing you want to do is if you ever have a problem, is go to the actual website and try to fix it through there. The chat through the actual website or calling them on the specific line. But with the calling them, the problem most of these individuals run into is that they don't get the cards, they don't get the phone number from the back of their credit card. They go onto Google and type in, whatchamacallit, fix for bank account of Bank of America. They'll get a phone number, right, from DuckDuckGo, Google, Yahoo, whatever, and it won't be an official website, it won't be an official phone number. So they call it and they basically set themselves up for instant hack, or the computer already has a Trojan on it, which then automatically redirects their search preference options to a phone number that's fake. And they're thinking they're calling an official phone number, and it's not. That gets them even more information to go ahead and change how your Social Security check is delivered. Okay. And I just want to point out one thing, because I think this is a really interesting thing. Social engineering, the greatest amount of social engineering that is, you can think of it as a hack, you can think of it as not as a hack, are political campaigns. Okay. What do I mean? These politicians are like super ultra propaganda machines. You ever think about that? The politicians will send out to you, something is trying to attack me, right? That they'll send out they'll send out that message. They're trying to unseat me, your only savior, the one who hasn't done anything for you, but I'm part of the party you like. That one. And you, in your brain, are like, oh my God, I gotta save this person. How do I save this person? It's social engineering. They're tapping into that core base fundamental existence where you're like, I have to save my team, my political group. If you've ever sat back and thought, boy, how can I be a better Democrat? How can I be a better Republican? How can I be a better this or that person? Then they have gotten to you. Because think about it. How many housing districts have they set up for all their homeless? How have they helped America become absolute, definitively number one across the entire globe so that the American people have the highest standard of living? How have they protected us from potential, scams and frauds? They're not great at it, right? None of these politicians are really, really kicking it, You ever think about, they spend a lot of money on the FBI. They spend a lot of money on the CIA. They spend a lot of money on the marshals, right? How many of those people are really there to make sure you're successful? And the correct answer is, you could either say all of them because they're protecting the system, or you could say none of them because personally, the only time they're likely to interact with you is if they need something from you. Just think about that. Just let that sink in, okay? Next one, exploiting vulnerabilities. Hackers can exploit security flaws in software, operating systems, or hardware. Keeping software up to date and applying security patches can help protect against these types of attacks. This is true. The problem is that these groups do not have a security patch for most issues that come up unless somebody else has been hacked and that person of that digital engineering group, the coders, tells everybody else what happens. And you know that these groups are not great at telling everybody that they just got hacked. So by the time everybody figures out that that person's been hacked, a few more have been because they're not quickly sharing it. Just like how we found out that social security numbers had been massively hacked because of a lawsuit in Fort Lauderdale. Not because the company that got hacked, that had access to government ID information, actually came out with it. They didn't. They didn't come out with it. We only found out because of a lawsuit that was filed. Next one. All right. So, and then another thing, exploiting vulnerabilities. Here's the thing that they're not going to tell you. When you have cell phones, iPads, whatever, smart TVs, and it's getting old, and it can no longer update its software, that becomes the prima example, the thing above all things that they're going to attack. I used to think it's a really smart and cool thing, and it really makes me look like a savvy financial person to not update my iPhone. Just keep using it because I'm a person who doesn't need a new one. I'm a person who doesn't have to have a new one. That used to be a good way that people would essentially share that they were smart, savvy buyers that would use things until basically, could no longer be used. That is the dumbest thing you could do. If you don't update your phone, your tablet, your computer, whatever, guess what? Somebody's going to figure out how to hack it. That's the reality. Unless they're constantly finding new ways to cut off the hacking, somebody's going to hack it. You have an older phone, you're a prime example of somebody they're going to go after. So, just keep that in mind. Public Wi-Fi networks. Okay, so a lot of you guys don't know about this because you think that, when you go onto a network, it's secured. Most networks that exist are not properly secured. That's the reality. They have boxes that you can buy that will create something that looks like a secured network that you will then join. They are all over Washington, D.C. They are. They're all over the capital of every state because literally there are people walking around with these boxes trying to steal information. The FBI, the CIA have had to go around and basically arrest the owners of these boxes, and they're still popping up constantly because anybody that's looking for internet, their phone will try and grab whatever it can. If it doesn't have a password, they'll grab it just for a moment to send that quick email. Public Wi-Fi networks, always a bad idea. The good thing about it is having specific internet through your phone, which is great until basically you can't get internet because you're in a building where they've cut it off and you have to use whatever options are available. So you could literally go into a Walmart where they'll cut off the the phone usage so that you can't buy things online through Amazon when Walmart doesn't have it. That's what most people do. If they can't find it, they'll buy it online on Amazon. And then from there, you can get somebody walking around with a box that's creating a fake network, right? And then you'll attach to that, buy something, and boom, they've got information. Data breaches. This is the big one that happened. When a company has a data breach, there's really no fix for it. Your social's out there forever. It goes on a hacking list forever. It's out there. Your name, your birthday, it's out there forever. Okay. The government can claim that they've taken it off the dark web, right? But here's one thing you should just know about the dark web. The dark web, many parts of it are not searchable. So if you know where to go, you can get anything. But if you don't know where to go, you can't find it. That's the thing about the dark web. Regular web, everything's searchable. Everything's out there. Everything, obviously can't get into the back end of websites, but everything's searchable. Dark web, nothing to some things are searchable through the onion system. So as a result of that, when the government or some bank says, we've found your social and removed it from the dark web, it doesn't mean it's not 1,000 other places on the dark web. It's just on a server that you don't know where to look to find it. There's no way to search the entire dark web. It's the whole point of the dark web. it's anonymous. You can go on there and you can buy anything, literally anything. But that's the point of it, because it's a place where people can sell anything, legal or illegal. You don't want to pay taxes on something? You sell it on the dark web. You don't want to have to deal with people knowing what you're doing? You sell it on the dark web. Because if you don't know where to go, if you don't know how to search it, if you don't have the URL capacity to it, you will never know that it's there. Okay, next one. Insider threat. Sometimes threat comes from within an organization. Employees or other trusted individuals might intentionally or unintentionally compromise security. The biggest threat to IT has always been fired employees who have a grudge. There's no digital system on earth that is completely protected from a backdoor intrusion, which means that some back end. All right, so maybe you got, okay, so let me explain how this works. Every single digital system, and I'm giving you a simplified version of it, has a front end and a back end, just like a company, right? You go to Starbucks, the front end has a bunch of like cutesy, off-color tones that kind of look like that, I don't even know what you call them, but they're like that tannish brown, right? It's not like a really brown, it's like a tannish brown, like a tannish tan, and right? That's the front end of the store. And then you go to the back end of the store, it's a bunch of chrome, giant tray systems, right? With stainless steel, and basically these trays, right? That keeps all their stuff on it, and you've got, it just looks like a junky back office area for food stuff, right? Got all your syrups here, your coffee here, your this here, your donut storing here, your that there, your blah, 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 all that stuff, right? Doesn't look like, cool and awesome and, this tannish, grayish, brownish color thing where they're giving me a story about a farmer who had to overcome this thing to sell his coffee. Oh, none of that. Back end, purely functional aspects. Purely functional. Okay. So the bottom line is that's how businesses on the internet work. There's a front end to the website and a back end. Front end looks really cool. People get to interact with it. They want to buy the product. Back end is just a bunch of menus, articles, right? Programs, plugins. That's all it is. Operational completion. So the point with that, just so you guys understand it, is that when you have a disgruntled employee, there are different levels of access to the back end of a website, right? You have super administrator, VP manager, low-level manager, supervisor, lead person, and then just basically base functional, blah, 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 all the way down. You have all these user levels. The thing is, if somebody figures out, if they're fired, how to get back in through another employee's account, then they can potentially create a data breach. And then they can get paid a lot of money for some hacker getting access to it to get the information they want. And then all of a sudden they're a millionaire. That is the most basic thing that usually happens when it comes to hacking these computers and these systems. Thank you, Fred Gonzalez. Thank you for all the info. Very, very good. You provide, Walter. Thank you, good sir. Super appreciate it. That's awesome. So the main thing you have to remember is that computers changing outcomes, or computers allowing access to individuals that shouldn't have allowed them, access to them, changing user profile levels, right? Going from your user to your manager to your supervisor to your, administrator to your super administrator to your owner category. Once you have access to those things, you can change those things. You can modify outcomes, right? That's when people are like, oh, it's the most safe version of blah, 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 blah that ever existed. Bullshit. There's never a safe version of anything. If a computer touches it, it's never safe. It's just easier, right? It's just easier. We use them because they're just, from a utilitarian standpoint, it's very quick, very easy. Okay. Now, unpatched software is a big thing, but the reality, okay, let me explain the final thing. Final thing before we end this video. If you have a program that was created, you have the base OS code, right? Operating system code. That base OS code is what all the other little programs and plugins that fit into it are built onto. When the OS code has an entry point that it's not supposed to, because there's a backdoor, there's a weakness, there's a problem, we coded this and it comes out that way because there's some syntax issue. When there's a problem with that situation, they make a patch. Do they always catch the security problems? No. So when people tell me a system's really secure, I ask them to please go to their phone and download the 4 patches that they've missed over the past 3 months. They're all called usually security patches because they had to build a new code, a patch, if you will, right? Patch to fit onto the operating system that they originally coded the entire program onto. So they patch it with new code so that somebody can't breach it again. So now you're starting to realize like how easy it is to actually hack this stuff. This happens all the time. You will see your phone, your computer coming up with security updates. Our brains don't even think about it as a worry, but when there's a security update, it means somebody has almost certainly already hacked the system, gotten what they wanted out of it, and moved on. Why is this relevant to Social Security recipients? Well, there's one more category, and then we're going to do the overall with it, and that's physical theft. Sometimes people will literally go to your garbage can or your garbage. They'll pull up the information, they'll search it, they'll go from there, and boom, they're good to go, right? They've got their information off of something you threw out that had info on it that you shouldn't have. Or they'll break into your house. That happens a lot more in the city, right? You live in the city, somebody was in your apartment that wasn't supposed to. They're just getting information, okay? Most of you believe that you're not a target. And you're not. Because to be fair, you don't have lots of assets. So what are they going to steal from you? Your name? It ain't worth much, right? Your login credentials? There's not much in the bank. Not much there. No. What they usually are going for are people who are currently working for giant entities that have access to a lot of stuff. That's what they're usually looking for. That's where the person, the hacker, will physically break into the office system, plug directly into the server, and try and pull what they can off of it. Okay. Now, here's the bottom line. We'll go through on another video ways that you can prevent all of this, but the point is, these are the types of things that exist that they steal your Social Security check with. Be aware of what they are. Be aware of how they exist. Be aware that you are a sheep and they are a wolf. They know what they're doing, you don't. There are people who literally have designed these amazing little USB, chips, or just a little USB thing. You stick it into your, computer. Instantly, within 30 seconds, everything on your computer is gone up to a server, through a cellular line to another system. Everything. What do you mean everything? I mean your entire computer hard drive is redelivered somewhere else. Why is this relevant? It's relevant because the largest amount of money that goes to the American people each year is called the Social Security Agency, right? The Social Security Administration, retirement, disability, spousal, those types, right? There's a lot of money there to be stolen. Now, you add on to that new socials being created. You add on to that new checks going out to new kids that weren't really born, immigrants that aren't really even real people. You start to see how the potential for theft is there's so many options. This is important because for America to be safe, it has to protect its borders, it has to protect its government, and it has to protect its people. Usually in that order. I will catch you guys a little bit later. Please, please, please take care of yourself. With that said, if you like these videos, please remember to like and subscribe. Also, very important, head on over to Disability Resolution. Well, just head over to Google, type in Google, and then Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida. Throw some stars up there. We always love seeing those 5-star reviews. I will catch you a little bit later. And please remember, I go live on Mondays and Thursdays to answer questions. And also, if you want to hire me for an hour, there's a little mini contract below. I will catch you a little bit later. We'll go through the details of future videos in the next grouping that we'll probably do tomorrow. Have a beautiful and wonderful, happy holiday, and I will catch you later from there. Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.